You hear that? Listen closely. Wait, I think I hear it out of Knoxville. Yeah, that's buzz. That's buzz about Nico Iamaleava and the Tennessee spring game. Listen, there's not a lot you can take from spring games, but I think there's a couple key points that you can take from the orange and white going at each other in Knoxville this past Saturday. We're going to break it down here on Southeastern 14. Hello, everyone. I'm Blayne Gilmer. Welcome to Southeastern 14. Make sure to subscribe, like, turn on notifications if you enjoy SEC coverage, whether that's football, baseball, basketball. You can find it here on this channel. And it's a great time of the year because there's a lot of different sports going, and spring football has just wrapped up for a lot of schools. Still a couple of games out there to be played as we're recording this, but Tennessee played their annual spring contest up in Knoxville. I have to say the thing I was most impressed with right off the bat was the atmosphere. Almost 60,000 strong there in Rocky Top. The Tennessee fan base is excited for what Josh Heupel is doing, and deservedly so. They had a great year last year. Really brought that program back to relevancy under Heupel in year two. So we'll see what happens in year three. The big question is who's going to be the quarterback. Everybody kind of came in trying to say, okay, this is Joe Milton's job. Joe Milton's gonna kind of run away with this thing. There's even some people, saying Joe Milton for Heisman, all this kind of stuff. Got excited about some of the throws that he made last year, but absolutely nothing in this game separated Joe Milton from Nico Iamaleava. And it was also the first opportunity for Tennessee Nation, that orange just sea of people that was there, to see the arm talent of Nico Iamaleava in a Rocky Top setting. And a lot of them fell in love right off the bat. He's making some really nice throws. Listen, Joe Milton, we know what Joe Milton is at this point. I've said for a long time now that I don't think Joe Milton can be Tennessee's quarterback and them have as much success as they want to have. And here's why. Joe Milton, about the third or fourth time this season that he put some Tennessee's receivers hard out of rhythm by throwing a just bullet at 90 miles an hour on a slant that's 5 yards away from him, an uncatchable ball, if you will, and it bounces up in the air for an interception, then Tennessee fans are going to get frustrated with that. And guess what? That used to not matter as much about, okay, what do fans think, what do boosters think, all this kind of stuff. But now there's about, 8 million reasons why it matters, because there's people out there who are funding the NIL efforts of Tennessee, quite legally, by the way, and also very smart and how they're going about doing it. I think Tennessee is doing a great job with their NIL program. But Nico Iamaleava is being paid a lot of money by the Spire Group and by the collectives that are working with the Tennessee Athletics. And he's not being paid to sit on the bench. Okay. He's gonna at some point, unless Joe Milton just absolutely begins to look more crisp, more pristine, then I think what you're seeing here is you got a true quarterback battle, and at some point, Nico Iamaleava is going to play for Tennessee. Now, having said that, there were a lot of people that didn't play, like I said, especially at the wide receiver position. You don't see Bru McCoy in this game. You don't see Ramel Keaton in this game. So they were without some of their key targets out there. So it's hard to tell a lot about some of the, maybe the rapport that Milton and Iamaleava, for that matter, have with some of these guys that were out there, how much they've been having reps with certain receivers, timing, rhythm, all that kind of stuff. But there were some guys that popped a little bit. Caleb Webb's a guy from the state of Georgia that, made plays at the highest classification in the state of Georgia, and he made a play down the sideline, kind of in between a safety and a corner, went up and got a ball, contested catch. So that's something you like to see. At the running back position, Tennessee is going to be pretty loaded in terms of bringing back Jabari Small, bringing back Jalen Wright. All these guys, Jabari Small not playing in this game. You saw a couple of young running backs really kind of make their presence known. Deshaun Bishop, he got a lot of carries in this game, and then Cam Seldon showed his versatility. 10 carries, 45 yards, and a touchdown, 3 receptions, 43 yards. So I think that there's some good young players that got an opportunity to kind of flash in this game. Ethan Davis at tight end was one of them. He's a big physical guy from Collins Hill in Georgia, a powerhouse program in the state of Georgia, and he got injured towards the end. So hopefully, whether it's shoulder, collarbone, whatever that is, hopefully he's miss a whole lot of time for them, because he certainly looked the part. Had a tremendous play where Nico Iamaleava escaped the pocket, rushed around the right side, and as Jordan Rogers on SEC Network put it, Nico Iamaleava threw a bullet to the 6'5" tight end, and about the only spot that he could throw it. But also, I say a bullet, and I use that kind of negatively when I was talking about Joe Milton. There was time Joe Milton just throws it. So you got to know when to put zip on it and when not to. And Iamaleava just shows, I think, more of a understanding of, okay, here's when I can just absolutely pepper it in there, and here's another time when I can put a little touch on it and get things going. Give my receiver a catchable ball. I think ultimately that's what's going to end up putting Iamaleava in the lineup for the Vols before the year is said and done. Like I said, that's what he's being now paid for to do. Tennessee fans probably won't want to hear about anything that Lane Kiffin says, but Lane Kiffin is right on the money now. He goes, this is professional sports. These guys are being paid to play. And this is how we're building rosters and things like that. And people just need to call it what it is. And in professional sports, Nick Saban said this a long time ago. He said when he was the head coach of Miami in the NFL, the owner called him up and said, hey, I'm going to give this cornerback a $10 million signing bonus. Do you think he's worth it? Nick Saban said, well, I don't think any of them are worth it. He said, but if you give him that signing bonus, he will play. He will be our starting corner. And when you're talking about Nico Iamaleava, he's getting paid a lot of money to be in Knoxville, and eventually he's going to see the field, and I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. Joe Milton will have his opportunities, but we'll see. Listen, one area that we know Tennessee has to improve on in the secondary. Last year, they gave up a lot of big plays. That Georgia game in particular, even against Alabama, they won the game, but it was a very high scoring affair. They have to get better in the secondary. Brandon Turnage was out in this game. Warren Burrell was out in this game. Even freshman safety Jack Luttrell didn't play in this game. So they had some guys that made some plays. Christian Charles is a guy that's from Gainesville, Georgia, that he recovered a fumble on the day. Danico Slaughter is a guy that struggled sometimes to really find his footing in terms of coverage and things like that. He made a nice play on the ball yesterday, but it's a very vanilla time in these spring games. You're not going to learn a whole lot. But I think you saw Tennessee have a great atmosphere. You saw them compete. They're having success on the recruiting trail. Josh Heupel is manufacturing a lot of excitement. But the biggest takeaway for me out of this was that Nico Iamaleava has firmly entrenched himself in this quarterback battle and is not going to make things easy for the public perception piece of this or for the NIL piece of this for Tennessee not to play him. I just think Nico Iamaleava ends up being Tennessee's quarterback before all is said and done, with all the different components out there. Plus, the young man is tremendously talented. Tennessee has a opportunity to be that one team, that one atmosphere out there that could give Georgia trouble later in the year. Georgia looked really good in their spring game as well. So I see no reason why these two teams shouldn't push each other in the SEC East. And we'll see. We'll see if they can hold up over the entire year in terms of being consistent. And that's something that Hendon Hooker was for Tennessee. He was just so consistent. And I think that's something that people are going to take for granted, not just in Knoxville, but, Stetson Bennett this last year for Georgia, very consistent. So guys that were older, wiser at the quarterback position, how will they be replaced in the SEC is going to be a theme this year, and it's going to be interesting. Even down in Florida, Anthony Richardson wasn't as consistent, but now they don't really have a quarterback down there. So we'll see how things turn out. But in terms of Tennessee, I think the running game is going to be really good. I think that they need to continue to work on improving in the secondary, which they're bringing in bodies. They're doing good things there. And then that quarterback battle, just getting their wide receivers actually on the field and getting them playing. That'll be exciting this fall. And they're going to have guys like Aaron Beasley that didn't play defensively, David Hobbs, all these guys that they're bringing in. David Hobbs is a young defensive lineman that's going to come in that could make it a little bit of an impact right away. And like I said, Aaron Beasley's been around at the linebacker position. So a lot of guys weren't on the field, but we'll see how Tennessee holds up this fall. Like I said, that atmosphere alone, you come into Rocky Top, you're going to be in for a fight because of just that raucous environment. So kudos to the Tennessee fans for providing that. And, now we got a quarterback battle on our hands in Rocky Top. So if you enjoy our content here, if you enjoy our spring football breakdowns, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all those things by searching Southeastern 14. I'm Blayne Gilmer. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Southeastern 14.